The girl didn't even have time to run before the cold front froze her solid, turning her into an ice statue. As the cold front spread toward the shore, Mark quickly grabbed his daughter and started running for their lives. But the cold front was spreading so fast behind them. Mark whipped the car around, slammed the gas pedal to the floor, and just barely avoided the cold front at the last second. The city's alarms were blaring, and the cold front had already hit the coastal city. People who couldn't escape were panicking, running for cover. But there was no escaping the beastly cold wave. Wherever the cold air hit, even skyscrapers froze up in seconds. A plane full of passengers was about to land, but as soon as it flew into the cold wind, it froze instantly. The plane shook violently and plummeted to the ground. Meanwhile, Mark and his daughter were still running as fast as they could, with the cold front chasing them every step of the way. Luckily, they finally made it to the weather station as soon as they ran inside. The cold front immediately covered the entire lab behind them. Thankfully, the lab was underground, so it was deep enough to resist the cold. Plus, a blonde assistant was there to take care of them, keeping them warm. Mark didn't have to worry about the cold front anymore. The monitor showed that the temperature outside had dropped to -90 degrees. Mark immediately called his wife to check on their situation. His wife and parents had already huddled up at home, shut all the doors and windows in advance. For now, the family was safe. Mark was able to track through his computer that the gap in the ozone layer was still letting in a huge amount of cold air. If they didn't seal that gap, the whole planet would be in an ice age in just a few days. But he quickly came up with a solution. He reached out to the head of the Meteorological Bureau again, but the arrogant director told him to just focus on taking care of his family. His team had already come up with a plan. They were planning to release 300 balloons filled with chemicals into the cold air center. Once the balloons reached a certain altitude, fighter jets would shoot chemical missiles to blow them up. The explosion's heat would stop the cold air from spreading. Mark was stunned when he heard this and immediately disagreed. He thought the only real solution was to go with the flow, deal with the problem at its source, and not fight nature. What they were suggesting would only make the cold air stop for a while, but it wouldn't fix it permanently. If the cold wave built up again, it would be even worse. The director, unwilling to listen to Mark's concerns, just brushed him off. The director believes that the plan, made by the country's top scientists, couldn't possibly go wrong. Left with no choice, Mark had to let the assistant keep monitoring the cold wave.